Hello, Vlogalogians! I have a question for you, and this is inspired by something that DK said, talking about, having to watch TV and schedule your life around when your favorite shows were on, and how that's evolving, and the great things about the internet. We've talked a lot about the internet, and it feels like recently I've been saying things, and people have been mostly agreeing with me, which is worrisome. Either I'm infallible, or I'm just stuck in a particular echo chamber. So I hope people will disagree with me on this point. I want to propose something to you, and that is that new media is a failed experiment. Now, what do I mean by new media? A few years ago, people were talking about how awesome it was that you no longer needed to go to a book publisher to get your book published. You could just give it to people and charge them for it. There are people who can put things on iTunes and make a bunch of money. They don't make much. There are a few people who can make a lot of money selling their own stuff on iTunes without a record label. And I think the poster child for this whole new media movement has got to be YouTube. It's got to be. It's the idea that every single one of us can be a content creator, right? But I feel like it might be just a fad. We look at things like YouTube, and we see right now there's always moaning about whatever happened to the community. Now it's just the big famous people and the lobies who nobody watches. It's horrible. And we have this additional campaign that's happening now about YouTubers, some successful, some mid-level, some low, going like, don't treat me like a celebrity. I'm not. I don't know what I'm doing. Please don't stratify? Yeah, I think that's a word. We're going to go with it as though it is a word. I've had a lot of coffee today. I need to keep that in mind and slow things down. And it feels like right now there is sort of this schism between the content that people make that's just kind of, it's fun, and it's cool, and it's great for them, and it's not hugely successful. And then there are the people that are massively successful on the platform, and there are people in the middle who are really struggling now because it's, well, do I decide to become a short film person and try and make these high quality things, or do I just decide I'm just going to be happy vlogging, and I'm not going to be able to afford to live off of that sustainably? And it feels to me like, even though we have the internet, it has become this remarkable distribution platform, but the whole idea that we can democratize media, that everyone goes from being a consumer to a producer, may not be the case. It may have just seemed that it was the case for a while because the internet and the ability to create things was a fad, which is a little concerning. But if we look at like the great cultural things of our time, keeping things strictly to video, I look at what is the big cultural thing right now? I think it's got to be Game of Thrones, and before that it was Breaking Bad. If you look at like what is the big epic creation that white people, Niall, okay, rich white people, what is the big thing that rich white men, I'm sorry, have created, is Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is freaking amazing, and no matter how successful PewDiePie is, I don't think he has ever released a video that has been as good as a Breaking Bad episode. Granted, it's kind of apples and oranges there, but you get my point, is that I feel like even though the mechanism by which we receive the media is changing, the whole idea of this new media where we as a community can let the best ideas surface just isn't there anymore. I mean, maybe it's the case that there are some people who've managed to kind of go the indie route to get to that successful place, but we're still, and it feels to me like we're shrinking the pool of innovators and creators, and the stuff that we do on our own as prosumers, because I don't want to say prosumer because that's like a professional consumer, that's a whole other term, but prosumer, sure. the stuff that we do is shrinking. It's becoming less and less significant. We're taking selfies, we're posting vines, we're posting tweets, small little status updates. We're not diving in and saying, there's a platform, there's a whole open area for me to express myself, and so now let's take advantage of it. We're stratifying into the audience and the creators, which is how it was before the internet. There were the gatekeepers, the creators, and the audience. And it feels like we're going back to that. Is new media just a failed experiment? Or are we just in a bit of a lull? Or am I in an echo chamber where I think it happens to be that way and is actually not? Let me know. I think this is an important topic. I'm pretty impressed that I came up with it. As we've discussed before, I'm infallible. Bye.